getting ourselves back on track. You are listening to Brothers of the Serpent podcast.
Back on track.
Woo!
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents and scriptards, to Brothers of the Serpent podcast, coming to you not live from not the 10 by 10 by 10 tangent cube of science, but in the dusty back room of my ancient house, high atop the Edwards Plateau. We are currently undergoing serious climate change in the tangent cube.
That's right.
It is probably 100 degrees in there right now.
Yeah.
Because the old climate change unit is no longer adequate due to man-made smog within the tangent cube.
All true.
So it has been removed and the hole has been plugged and a brand new climate change unit is being put in. And it's not finished yet, so it's really
we
hot.
purchased ourselves a very expensive coal-powered man-made climate change unit.
That's right. It's a fantastic unit.
That's right.
It is mini and it is split.
That's right. So it should be quiet and will allow us to run it during the shows, which previous to this, we couldn't do that because we had a little window unit in there and it was really, really loud. So when you turn it on, it's and we couldn't do the show with that going on in the background. So.
Which caused the 30-minute segment format of our show to begin with, and we're going to keep that up even though we will have climate change.
That's right.
So the format has actually turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
For, like organizing the topics, and
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. It's taking the little breaks, even if all we do is stop the recording, say, okay, that was cool, let's keep going, and then start it right back up. The little breaks are great, like little regroups.
Yeah.
And sometimes we stop it and we go outside and we hang out and we talk about whatever we were doing for a long time before we come back in. And so it just gives us the opportunity to do that or not. And it's been really good. So
Yeah.
It's just funny that it initially started because we were like, we can't record for 2 hours nonstop in here because it gets too freaking hot.
That's right.
Or cold or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So the Watcher.
Let's
talk about the Watcher for a minute. The Watcher has left his secret space station from deep beneath the secret space station in secret outer space.
And shown up at a 1950s Starbucks.
That's right. So he called us from what looked like a 1950s Starbucks, black and white, with him the only thing in color in there. So it was like some kind of strange, like colorized Watcher version, like he had time traveled to this ancient Starbucks. And like we were like, okay, you're at a Starbucks, you live in space, that makes sense. But right when we were getting ready to record the show, and we had to wait for him because normally we start around 7 o'clock our time, and it got to 8 o'clock before he got everything set up and was ready, and he had himself a nice comfy chair and a big coffee and everything. And then I'm sitting there watching him on the camera because we're connected over video, and this employee chick comes over, he's like, "Excuse me, sir, we're closing at 8 o'clock." And he's like, "What the fuck?" So he just got booted out of Starbucks, the 1950s Starbucks that closes at 8 o'clock. And he's packed up all of his stuff and put it back into his spaceship, and now he's trying to find something else.
He's trying to time travel to the future when they stay open later.
So I'm sure he'll be joining us shortly as soon as he gets his time machine to work.
That guy has more technical difficulties than anyone I know, and all he has to do is plug in headphones.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so since I can't introduce the Watcher because he's still trying to time travel to the present, we'll start with space weather news from spaceweather.com, where we get all of our space weather news. Total eclipse of the sun Tuesday ended with a hole in the sky across the South Pacific and parts of South America on July 2nd. The new moon passed directly across the face of the sun, producing a total solar eclipse. Paul D. Maley photographed the eclipse from the ocean 5 days sail southeast of Tahiti. He says, "I led a group of 146 persons on the MV Wind Spirit for the total solar eclipse. We experienced a fantastic 2 minutes and 43 seconds of totality. Venus and 5 stars were visible to the unaided eye, as was the cone of the lunar shadow low in the northeast sky. We were the first group to see this, as our land group in Chile would have to experience it about 2.5 hours later. This is my 74th solar eclipse. So this guy like goes wherever they are in the ocean.
That's cool.
Yeah. Also, sunspots from the next solar cycle. Solar minimum is here, but it won't last forever. In fact, the next solar cycle made a brief appearance this week. On July 1st, a small sunspot materialized in the sun's southern hemisphere, then hours later vanished again. The polarity of its magnetic field marks it as a likely member of solar cycle 25. Southern sunspots from old solar cycle 24 have a minus plus polarity. This ephemeral sunspot was the opposite, plus minus. According to Hale's law, sunspots switch polarities from one cycle to the next. The unnumbered sunspot of July 1st appears to be a herald of solar cycle 25. So solar cycles always mix together at their boundaries. Indeed, ephemeral sunspots belonging to solar cycle 25 have already been reported on December 20th, April 8th, November 17th, May 8th, 28th, and now we can add July 1st. The slow transition between solar cycle 24 and 25 is underway. And earlier this year, an international panel of experts predicted that solar minimum would deepen in 2019 and begin to rebound sometime next year. The increasing pace of ephemeral, I think I'm saying that right. Ephemeral? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Probably saying it wrong.
Yeah, buddy.
Sunspots from the next solar cycle is roughly consistent with their forecast.
So wait, the magnetic field is going to switch?
Right, so yeah, every 11 years.
In the minimum?
Yeah, it flops. Well, the next sunspots are showing up with the polarity already reversed.
What?
Yeah.
That's
like
cool.
they're
Yeah, I was distracted for a moment. I was looking at my news stories.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought you were saying, is that they're already noticing, they've already looked at like 3 or 4 different sunspots starting in December
Yeah, so
that have reverse polarity.
let's see. The first one they saw was December 20th, 2016.
Oh.
Was a polarity reversed for 25 all that long ago, showing up just barely and then vanishing, right? So the next one they saw was April 8th, 2018, then November 17th, 2018, May 28th, 2019, and now July 1st. So most of the sunspots were polarity minus/plus, right? So they have the top polarity is their north pole is negative, basically, right? But now the sunspots are showing up the other way around. The north pole is positive.
Plus/minus.
Yeah. But they saw the first one of those in 2016.
So does that mean that the sun's polarity has already switched, or is that the sunspots are switching? How is that possible? That sunspots could be upside down when the
Electric Universe. It's not.
Come on, Wall Thornhill.
Yeah.
Call us up on the show.
Explain this to me.
1-800-SNAKE Bros.
Solar wind speed is very low relative to the ones I've read before at 309 kilometers per second. All the other ones I've read have been 500 and 600. Also, the density is very, very low, 1.5 protons per cubic centimeter.
Oh, that's like 5 lower than it was before.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep track.
Yeah, I know.
Proton
I'm
speed.
trying to keep track of this
Density.
too. Yeah, we need to know what the proton density is. Do you know what the proton density is right now, sir? So I have a lot of comments, but Kyle's got some
In
stories
other
first.
space news, a mysterious fast radio burst was traced to a galaxy 3.6 billion light years away from CNN World Beyond Earth. It's kind of weird. CNN World
Beyond Earth. What?
Yeah, for the first time, a single burst of cosmic radio waves has been traced to its point of origin. In this case, a galaxy 3.6 billion light years from Earth. These radio bursts are only millisecond-long radio flashes, and such rapid bursts themselves aren't rare in space. But finding out where they came from is incredibly difficult. People love to believe that they're from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization, and this hypothesis hasn't been ruled out entirely by researchers at Breakthrough Listen, a scientific research program dedicated to finding evidence of intelligent life in the universe. Astronomers were able to pin down the source of a repeating fast radio burst in 2017, but single radio bursts are harder to pinpoint because they don't reoccur. The single radio burst, dubbed FRB 180924, was discovered by the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder Radio Telescope, or ASKAP. ASCAP. We've talked about this telescope before.
Freaking ASCAP.
In Western Australia. ASCAP. 3 of the largest telescopes around the world, Keck, Gemini South, and the European Southern Observatory's very large telescope, were able to image the burst. The findings of this observation were published Thursday in the journal Science. They've got some really great artist rendition pictures here. Look at this
the
stuff.
images are amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Fast radio bursts, often referred to as FRBs, were first discovered by astronomers in 2007. We've been over this stuff before. So the main point of the story is like I'm the fast radio burst guy.
Yeah.
But they've traced these other ones, the ones that were like, they're really close. And it's like, it's 1 billion light years away.
Yeah.
Or 100,000 light years away. They're repeating so that they're able to, focus in the direction, they keep narrowing it down because it keeps repeating itself over and over. And then they can kind of pinpoint it. But this one is just like a blip.
Yeah.
Real quick. And they were able to pinpoint its origin.
Yeah. And I love that. They're like, we found where it came from, a galaxy.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, way to narrow it down, guys.
Hey man, that is like a pinpoint.
Yeah.
In the vastness of space.
But it's like saying, well, he came from Texas. Thanks. I'll go find him.
That's very Texan of you to compare Texas to a galaxy.
Yeah, of course. Texas is real big. It's real big.
The other story I have, I don't want to read because I don't. It's really just
He's going to summarize
it's
it.
Clickbait. Headline.
Oh, okay.
It's basically it was. I can't even remember what the.
Does it have the word mystery in there?
No, it was just. It was about how these scientists. I'm sure you know about it. They're messing with the brains of these.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. They're not chimpanzees, but they're something
Rhesus
similar.
monkeys or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And they're actually like getting some results.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I see everyone like, this can end well, right?
Okay, so yeah, but like, what do you think? I mean, do you think that we shouldn't be messing around like that?
No, of course we should be messing around with it.
I think we should too. But it's kind of like,
I have
sitchingiswrong.com.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. I have a sort of an unpopular view of this kind of thing.
I'm assuming I do too, because to me, I'm like, we should be doing this.
Right. I do believe in a type of ethics of science, like that there are some things you don't do, not because there is no scientific value, but because it's cruel.
Right. But eventually you have to cut open the body of a living person.
Right.
If you want to learn anything about surgery.
That's right. That's right. So you find a way to do it to where they're not awake and screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you still have to stab people and inject them with stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like,
right.
Yes.
There was a lot of awful science done in the name of natural philosophy in like the 16, 17, 1800s where they were doing... I mean, we probably shouldn't even talk. It's just so
or
terrible.
in the name of destroying Tesla,
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about
let's shock a monkey to
people were doing biology, and so they would, and they were like, well, looking at it when it's dead doesn't tell me what I want to find out,
Right.
and so they would like try to like vivisect something while it was alive,
Right?
And keep it alive.
Right.
Struggle to keep it alive as long as possible while they're basically picking it apart, and that's awful. But
Yeah.
how do you learn? So I don't know. There's this weird gray area in there, and I always have this thing. I'm like, well, look, you've got to figure stuff out, but at the same time, you need to walk the line of ethical behavior and try not to be cruel. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see what I'm saying is I don't see what they're doing with those monkeys as cruel. It may have a weird kind of science fiction, like we're about to make the thing that's gonna take over the world. A whole like you're teaching them how to use fire or something like that. And so you can see down the line that like eventually they're going to conquer us and then we're going to be slaves of the monkeys or whatever. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can envision these things, but I don't think what they're doing is cruel necessarily. So, but there is no like, and so like if you get rid of the whole like that's cruel and you shouldn't do it or it's torture or whatever. If that is not part of the question, in other words, we're not doing something like that. There is nothing that I think that we shouldn't be looking into.
Yeah.
People are like, we shouldn't be playing with that. I'm like, why not? How do you draw that line and say that's not for, like I've heard people that on one hand claim to be atheists, that will then turn around and say, we weren't meant to do that. And I'm like, meant by what? Atheist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this before, but you know, I guess my way of thinking kind of goes in line with, or it reminds me of the idea of like these uncontacted tribes in the Amazon or whatever. You know, the question of, well, should we really make an effort to try to contact them? Didn't we talk about this before? Yeah. And my thinking, you know, some people just let them be one with the earth and die very young and struggle and have their women die during childbirth. And I'm just like, no, like let's bring them into the modern age of technology and give them washing machines and freaking, you know, cars and stuff, boots, pants.
Yeah.
I you know, obviously that's a sort of joking way of saying it, but it's like, you ask anybody that's living in with modern technology and the things that it's freed us from, and ask them like, okay, do you really want to go? You know, that's why there's TV shows where people are like, yeah, I want to go live in the wild. No, you don't.
And they go die.
That's right. You go live in the wild with a massive camera crew with like, EMS people and whatever right there next to you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to really deal with the fear.
Yeah. Naked and afraid with an enormous like high-tech camera crew right next to me.
Right.
That's not what's happening. Well, okay. So what I like to do, and this may be just arguing semantics, but instead of saying bring them into the, you know, into modern times or whatever, like just give them the choice.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
Like
nothing forceful, but
right. I don't believe it. Like and I know you don't mean this. I'm just saying, like semantically, like what we're talking about is like what these people advocate is for us to like make a bubble around them and make it impossible for them to even, you know, come into the modern world if they wanted to. And they're like, well, it always destroys their culture. Well, that's not our fault, right? If that happens, that is just something that happens, and it isn't something you can blame on the more advanced civilization, or different. If you don't want to think that we're more advanced just because we have a bunch of tech and maybe they're advanced spiritually or whatever, you know. But you see this time and again where some tribe like that begins to integrate into modern civilization, and then quote unquote their culture falls apart. But it doesn't really. It stops being the same because change happens.
Right. And has there ever been a time in history when all the people of a quote unquote culture were completely happy with the entire culture?
Right. No. There's always misfits that hate everything.
There's some guy in that tribe wearing a black butt flap and he's just like, I'm gothic. I'm different.
Yeah, he's got a low V butt flap. And a beard.
He's like put charcoal around his eyes and stuff. You know, it's just like,
yeah. Right. Moving on.
Sorry about that. I'll cut that part out.
It was hilarious.
No, you know, the gothic types.
Yeah.
I just remember that from high school. There were just some people that they wore all black.
Yeah.
Put on like dark makeup.
Yeah.
Dyed their hair black.
Right. I met a huge group of them when I went to college.
And never stepped out into the sun.
Right. Yeah. Incredibly pale.
Some of their clothing,
I'm pretty sure some of their clothing was spray painted cobwebs. It looked like cobwebs that they had spray painted black. But they were all very sweet. I hung out with them. I hung out with a group of them in college, and they were all very nice people. But they were everything was very doom and gloom, and I was just like, guys.
Yeah, it was the gothic trend, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
There's got to be some of those guys that just, you know.
Yeah. What does goth look like when you're in a butt flap tribe? What does that look like? I need a black bear butt flap.
That's right. But my point is that, you know, like you're saying, give them the choice. So with these, for lack of the actual term of what these animals are, I'm just going to call them monkeys, that they're messing with the DNA and they're combining like human brain DNA. I don't know how they're doing it, but somehow they're like replicating the human brain inside, or like parts of the human brain inside the brain of the monkey.
Yeah.
You know, they're not really giving the monkey a choice.
Yeah.
So it's not about that, but it is like, but if we can make them, if not, we can make them, but if this can result in them being more intelligent and being able to, I don't know if it will.
Yeah. What would be fascinating is if it didn't.
Right. That would really,
Like they end up like, okay, now it has an entirely human brain and it's still monk over there. It's just monkeying around. It's not a person yet. You know? That would be fascinating. That would tell you something about what's really going on, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting that if they gained higher intelligence or higher mental abilities, like what is that bad?
No.
It's to me, it's not necessarily bad. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you can choose to be bad.
Yeah. Right. It's neither good nor bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Just
But
like any tool, like when we were talking to Soraya.
Right. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. It's tools are neither good nor bad. And so if you're somehow able through science to give a monkey more mental cognitive tools, that is neither good nor bad. Right.
If you then turn around and enslave them, that's bad.
Or turn them into like freaking soldiers or something, you know, you're trying to make some kind of like,
Right.
People always envision this, like they imagine like, okay, now we're going to have like soldier monkeys, like wearing armor and running around shooting people because they're expendable. You know, that's where you say, okay, yeah. So there you have the example of tool gone bad or tool being used badly, right? You also have the idea of like search and rescue monkeys that go out into like national parks and can find somebody who's lost because they're badass at that kind of shit and they know the forest.
Wow, that's
right. So
cool.
like that's what I'm saying. You have any tool and it can be used for good or bad, and you can't say that's bad because it could be used for bad. We shouldn't do it. That's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Man, search and rescue monkeys. I need to patent that.
Now you're starting to treat them like animals.
They are.
You're
animals.
trying to make a bunch of money off of them.
I'm just pointing out that they are in fact animals, though.
So are we.
Yeah. Treat them like a bunch of animals. All right. So I got a bunch of listener communications here. The first one I want to read, I'm really proud of this. This is an email we got. Or actually, no, it's a comment that was left on the website from someone who calls himself Indrid Lukewarm. And some of you UFO / what's it called? Mothman people will get the reference there.
What?
Indrid Cold is the name of one of the weird Men in Blackish sort of strange entity beings that happened in the Mothman mystery. And this guy's called himself Indrid Lukewarm.
That's so good.
So he says, good podcast, but the annoying laugh at your own comments is off-putting. So this is another guy who doesn't like that we laugh at our own jokes.
Sorry.
I could tell Randall noticed it, and so did Walter on his episode. And both hosts saying things in unison, like, for those of us not in intelligence, what does that mean? Like you rehearsed it, is cheesy, and you sound, by simply denying being in intelligence and rehearsing it, to protest too much. Or maybe you're attempting to establish a cover in this community.
What? He's accusing us of being undercover, like CIA agents or something?
Dude. This is freaking awesome.
Oh, crap.
I feel like,
I've changed the name of the podcast.
I feel like you're doing a good job when somebody accuses you of being a psyop.
So what is the definition of a psyop?
Psychological operation done by an intelligence organization.
Okay.
So it's like gaslighting is one of the oldest, well, it's just gaslighting is like an old psyop trick where the name came from like, so the, back when they still used gas lamps, people had gas lamps to light the inside of their houses. So somebody would leave their house and they'd put the lamps out and they'd go out to work or whatever. And as a member of the organization, you'd break into their home, like pick the lock, you get into their home and you would very subtly move things around and you would light some of the lamps and then you would leave and lock the door again. So they'd get home and they'd be like, someone's been in my house, right? And they would start to notice that stuff has moved or whatever. And then everyone would think they were crazy because nothing is ever stolen, right? But you do that on purpose. You like, it would make that person lose credibility amongst everybody he knew because he's like, someone's breaking into my house and lighting my lamps. And I'm like, you just forgot to light. No, come on. Why is anybody doing that? And they're like, they're fucking with me. And you keep doing it and it drives them nuts.
Oh, wow.
That's called gaslighting.
That's crazy.
Right? So gaslighting is now a catch-all.
Where did you learn these tactics, right?
Well, I had training in it. So gaslighting is now a catch-all term for any kind of activity that is meant to sort of mislead people and kind of drive them nuts and just, you know, so. And it can, sometimes I hear people saying gaslighting as in like when they're just blatantly misleading you or lying about stuff. They call that gaslighting.
Yeah, because I've heard it used in like modern politics.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, oh, they're totally gaslighting, and what they mean is they're just like they're saying it in the context of something. They're just lying to your face.
They're trying to drive people crazy.
Yeah, and it drives people nuts. You know, to just have some like authority figure stand up there and lie straight to your face. It can be
when it's obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, wait. Lukewarm guy.
Yeah, injured lukewarm.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, so first of all, he thinks that so sometimes Kyle and I say something at the same time, and it's by accident. We're brothers, and this happens, right? So when we were talking to Walter Bosley, and Kyle wanted to ask him, like, so for those of us not in intelligence, what are you talking about? I knew he was going to say that because Kyle and I had this conversation back and forth multiple times.
Yeah, we listened to that podcast, and I was like, he had made that comment.
Yeah.
And I was like, for those of us not in intelligence, like, and Russ and I had that conversation.
Yeah, so when Kyle went to say it, I knew he was going to say it, and I wanted to ask it too. We both just happened to say it exactly the same way at the same time. What are you talking about? We didn't rehearse it. We don't rehearse anything in here. So, but it's just funny, like, I love the fact that he thinks we're a psyop. Like, I feel like that means we're doing something right. If someone is not accusing you of, if someone is not accusing you of being a psyop or, being an intelligence plant, then you're not.
Yeah, but
you're not doing.
I got that, but I want to bring this guy on board here.
Okay, what's up?
Was that the end of the message?
That's the whole message. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't actually rehearse stuff, but we work together every day.
Yeah.
And then we're communicating with each other about the podcast, or, like we say multiple times on the podcast, we've been talking about these same subjects for at least 10 years, some of them less because they're newer subjects to us, but a lot of our inside jokes, we know where they go. Yeah. So it's like, we're going to say, if one of us is starting to say the inside joke, the other one knows what the person's about to say right. when they begin saying it, depending on the way they're saying it.
Yeah.
The first couple of words.
Yeah.
And you can pick up on it and jump in and join it.
Right.
And that actually happens. You actually do it more. Like when I'm saying certain jokes or whatever, you'll like
I'll
jump in
and say the same. Yeah. Say it with you.
Yes. So yeah, that's just a I guess a byproduct of having many conversations with each other for many moons.
Yeah. And being brothers, and that we grew up together, and so it just happens. Yeah. Like we do it all the time when we're not recording as well.
Yeah. So
you can find plenty of episodes on here where one of us will start bitching at the other one, like, stop saying my fucking line, right? Because both of us will say something at the same time.
Yeah, that really irks me, man. I like tell you a joke that I'm thinking of, and then you say it on the podcast before I get the chance.
Yeah. Joke theft.
So, yeah, and I mean, in one sense, we do plan things out. But there's nothing rehearsed. It's like we just say, well, let's talk about this, or, oh, I have this question for that person.
Yeah.
Is that a good question?
Yeah.
We'll run stuff by each other.
And I mean, like, people, I don't know. It's a little strange to me that this guy does not understand that people can say things at the same time sometimes, and it just comes off that way. Especially people who are really close, like, once again, I'm thinking of Where Did the Road Go in Soraya, but he has often talked about, I don't know if it was a girlfriend or a significant other or just a friend that he had that was a female, and he says that they used to say, he was like, he thought that they had some kind of telepathic connection, because he was like, we would say the same things all the time, all the time, right? They would
Yeah.
just both at the same time. They'd be sitting there and they both would blah, 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 and multiple words would come out and it was all the same.
Yeah.
And like that, so that just happens. Like, you know, so it doesn't mean that we're a psyop, but we totally are, bro. We totally are.
He wants you to believe that.
I keep thinking it.
We're going to play good
Yeah.
cop, bad cop.
We are here.
We're not
I am
a
going to
psyop.
come into your house and light your gas lamps.
None of that is actually happening.
And I'm going to keep laughing at our jokes because we're dumb. So I have to laugh at it.
Hey, but I have been telling Russ that he needs to back away from his mic. When
Yeah,
he
I know.
laughs.
I need better mic etiquette. I
Yeah.
need to
See,
not like laugh
I've been the
directly.
guy in the studio recording stuff for years and years and years and years because of the band.
Yeah.
And so when I'm recording like a guitar or something, I can hear just breathing that I'm doing if I'm trying to play a guitar riff that's got, say it's kind of quiet, I can hear myself taking breaths with the rhythm. And I'm like, God, I gotta stop doing that. So I've developed a certain type of mic etiquette, what I call mic etiquette. And this is what I'm always nailing Russ with, like, dude, you need to get better mic etiquette.
Yeah.
You know,
Stop stepping on your mic stand.
Yeah.
Stop wobbling your leg in the studio.
don't sit there and bounce your leg in
Yeah.
the studio.
Stop breathing. Stop laughing directly into your microphone. Like back away when you laugh. Back away when you cough.
Yeah, don't let your smoke right in the mic while I'm telling something really important. Exactly.
I can't light one in here because we're
So
in the
yeah,
house.
we know we're still always working on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're working on things all the time. So we'll work on the mic etiquette, buddy.
Yeah.
You work on your attitude. Thanks for the advice.
I like your name though, and thank you
Yeah.
at the very beginning. You said good podcast. So
Yeah, I
thank you.
appreciate it,
Thanks
man.
for listening, man. I really appreciate it. And you know, like, I don't mind this kind of stuff. I actually enjoy I enjoy that kind of thing. When I first saw that comment, I was like, this is badass. I have just been accused of being psyop. So keep it coming. All right. So by the way, did you check this pyramid scheme to see if we got any?
I haven't.
Because I have some Apple Podcasts ratings comments. So here's one from Maverick the Maggot. 5 stars. Favorite podcast, hands down. He says their subject matters are exceptionally interesting and their ability to have fun talking through the unknown is so entertaining to listen to. They've made themselves another Snake Bro as I am very dedicated to their direction.
Thanks,
man.
buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Snake Force.
That's right. Here's another one from Markademic. These names are amazing. The title of it is Heard from Where Did the Road Go? And he just says, this is a true gem. So thank you so much. And here's another one from Override. Outstanding. Relaxed, casual delivery, conveying a level of intellect and reason not often common with many of these topics, not shying away from the mystery and unknown, but not quick to embrace the outlandish. That's his.
Wow.
Thank you. Kyle's views are outlandish, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I quickly embrace all of them.
And this is the last one here. Entertaining and enlightening from Gauge 2250. These guys are awesome. I'm so glad I found them. I've had similar questions and similar experiences. I really love their out-of-the-box views. Keep skirp-tarding the skirp-tards.
Warm and fuzzies.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, people.
And then I have one set I want to read here from... I got an email. I just want to say, what's up, Avery? Got your email, buddy. That's not one I want to read on the show, but totally appreciate that. Thanks very much for sending that. We'll keep in touch.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. So I got these. This came in over Twitter. So from Jordan, he says, "Sup, dudes? New listener here, checking in from the Bluegrass State. Just started listening last week and love it so far. You guys have a great dynamic, and I love the delivery of the information. So far, listened to the 2-part about the sign and the seal, and the one about the breakaway civilization. I learned a lot of new stuff from you guys and have listened to lots of podcasts on these topics, so great research. Wanted to give you guys some props. Keep it up. Plan on listening to them all." That is from Jordan. And there's one other one here I wanted to read. This is a little later, after he said he was planning to listen to them all, right? He's like, "Snake Rose, Hey, just started to go back and listen to the first episode, number 2. And just want to say, wow, I've been listening to stuff on these topics for a while now, and you guys have done such a good job at articulating these ideas that I just had to say something. Love the theories in this one too, like how about how knowledge is hidden in all these stories to hide the info not from people but from something else. Loved it. Also, wanted to say love the song at the end. Reminded me a lot of Incubus.
Ah.
Anyways, slither on, bros, and keep up the excellent work. Also, heard you guys at Grimerica too, which is awesome. Look forward to maybe hearing you guys chat on some more Swampcasts.
Cool, man. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Bad mic etiquette.
Bad mic etiquette there. I had one other one that was real short, an email that I wanted to read if I can find it.
Anything from the Grand Watcher? He's been kind of quiet lately.
Grand Watcher has sent stuff, but they've been links to videos that he wants us to look at. So I need to look at them. I haven't yet. Sorry, Grand Watcher.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh, wait.
Get me to click on links.
Yeah. Not a link
clicker.
This is the one I want to read from Henry Hablack. He said, just listen. Glad you guys like the swag. Thanks as always for the shout out. Found lots of interesting research lately that I'll share when I get some time. Honestly thinking about starting a blog to write and share some of the stuff I'm finding. Anyway, snakes! Talk to you guys soon.
Dude, I hung up a bunch of your stuff in the cube and had one friend come over, old Daniel, heel boy, and stood around blowing our minds looking at the artwork.
Dude, they're great to stare at for a long time. I'm just like, man, that's freaking awesome.
I put up a bunch of the ones that had what I think is the Wheel of Fortune as a sort of theme.
As in from tarot cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of eight-pointed wheel.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't have the tarot symbols around it, but it's the same style of wheel.
Yeah.
And there's one on a bull, and there's another one on snakes, and there's one on the guy that looks like the fool of the tarot deck.
Oh, yeah.
He's like holding it, and it's on his hat. And you start looking more, and you're like, oh, wait, there's more wheels on their knees and on their... It's like, it's cool, yeah. Wheels within wheels.
Yeah.
Really great stuff, man. I've been showing it to all my friends. So
all the homies about those.
Loving the swag.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks very much, guys. Check Henry out. You can find him on his Instagram at H Hablack. Also, we wanted to say before we close this segment out, we did if you go to 13 Questions podcast, just look up 13 Questions on any podcast app or whatever, or iTunes. You can find on episode 25. We were the ones answering the questions. So that was a lot of fun.
Thanks to Adam Loyal.
Yeah, and the Grimerica guys, Darren mostly. Darren got us in there, and Adam did the question asking, and it was a lot of fun. We did that in the basement at CAC. So it was really cool. So go check that out if you want to hear us answer really tough and funny and interesting questions. And yeah, it was a great one. And also, we mentioned this, but we were on Where Did the Road Go recently, so you can find us there. Go check out Where Did the Road Go? Great podcast about mysteries and paranormal stuff. And then our Swapcast with Grimerica.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that one's in our feed, so you guys know about that one. Anyway.
Sorry about the buzzy climate change in that one.
Yeah, there's a little bitty buzzy. Well, you can go listen to Grimerica's version, and then you can't hear us at all. So.
All right, folks. Snakes!
Of the world awake by reason of our babble.
Blah, 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 blah.
Brothers of the Serpent podcast.
Blah, blah, slither, blah. Shedskin Bale.
That's right. Shedskin Bale. All right. So this is a recap.
What do you want to talk about there, 00 Slither? Freaking CIA agents.
Let's talk about gaslighting people. Yeah, so this is a recap podcast, or sort of a we've done a bunch of book reports. We did Signing the Seal. We did the Giants. We had Randall Carlson on. We had Joshua Cutchin. We went to Contact at the Cabin, hung out with Randall Carlson, saw a whole bunch of stuff, and we kind of like haven't had a chance to just come in here and sit. Well, this is a different here. We're not in this 10 by 10, but just come over here and sit down and sort of hash it out like how we started the podcast. So that's what this one is about. So I've been thinking about clarifying some things. I've been going back and listening to some older episodes, and I get asked this question a lot. People are like, so you don't think it was aliens, right? And I want to say is that on the subject of aliens and ancient aliens or whatever, I just don't think they're necessary, but that doesn't mean that they weren't involved. In other words, I don't know, right? But to me, it looks like the ancient alien hypothesis is based on the idea that aliens were necessary, that humans couldn't have done it. And that's because, to me, it looks like they follow the standard model of human development. Yeah, they believe the standard model of human development, that basically in the Stone Age we were primitive and we didn't have the capabilities. This is what the standard model of science or archaeology, whatever, says about humans. That they try to say both things. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say, well, they were extremely primitive and they didn't have basic math, but at the same time they could build these amazing structures just because they spent a lot of time working on them or whatever.
Yeah.
So the ancient alien people seem to have taken one side of that and said, okay, we'll accept your assertion that in the past humans were more primitive and just didn't have the capabilities of doing this. So then their question is well, then how do we have these ancient structures and these hints of technology and these hints of higher knowledge? And so their answer is, well, there must be extraterrestrials involved somehow coming down here and sort of helping out. And I don't think that's necessary because I don't buy the first part.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that there were no extraterrestrials involved. So basically my answer to were there ancient aliens is I don't know, but I don't think that you can point to any given ancient site or ancient structure or whatever and say that's evidence that there must have been aliens. That's what I'm trying to say. That doesn't mean that there weren't aliens.
But you can point to some of the statues and the carvings of faces and say, those are not human.
Right. You can definitely do that.
And there's plenty of them,
yeah.
Right? And they're repeated over and over and over that this person does not look human, or at least not Homo sape.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm leaning towards more and more is the possibility that, because like even with our own science research from modern, the standard model of archaeology or paleontology, we're finding all of these other hominids. Hominids?
It's both. Yeah, I see both used. Hominids is what I like.
Yeah, that lived on Earth. And we don't know, like, I'm just thinking it's possible that it could have been, like you were saying, the Tolkien world, there's like all these different
humanoid races running around that weren't necessarily
they're
Homo
from
sapiens.
Earth, you know?
Yeah, they're Earthlings.
But that isn't even necessary. It's not necessary that it not be humans who built all this stuff. But
right.
It's cool to think that might have been the case.
Right. That some of the structures that we see, these very ancient ones, or even just the cores of some of these very ancient structure.
Yeah. And that's not rooted in any bigotry towards humans. It's just cool to think about.
Yeah. 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 So I guess that's really what I wanted to clarify was that I'm not anti-ancient alien. I just don't think that they're necessary. Now, like what you said, that's totally true. There are lots of weird figures and drawings, and even in the myths, they talk about sky beings.
Yeah, my thing too is that
like the Dogu, like you look at those Dogu things from Japan, and those are really strange looking guys. But they actually look more like they're wearing a suit. They actually look like they're wearing what I think of when I see the Dogu is a guy wearing...
Bug suit.
Huh?
Bug suit.
Yeah. Well, I think of a guy wearing a strange sort of steampunk style deep sea diver suit.
Yeah. Yeah, and he walked out of the ocean in it.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a regular dude in there.
Yeah.
So...
I also lean towards the idea that whatever advanced, I do believe there was a technologically advanced civilization far in the past beyond what the standard model says. Now, what that technology is, how it was advanced, I don't know. Was it advanced in exactly the same way we are? No, I don't think so. I just don't think it would happen the same twice.
Yeah.
We might discover the quote-unquote same laws of physics, but that doesn't mean that like we don't understand why the laws are the way they are. What if they figured out something deeper?
Yeah. Or they just happened on a different effect and started using that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not claiming that they had airplanes.
Right.
But I do think that
But they could have had balloons.
I think it's probable that they had flight in some manner and possibly even space flight.
Yeah.
Like that is awesome to think about to me, that like far in the past. And why not? You know, if Homo sapien or Homo sape has been around for a couple of 100,000 years.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we have done it? And most evidence would be gone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, is that it has been done by Earthlings and probably spaceflight as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Watcher says Occam's razor would point to advanced civilizations that have been wiped out or almost wiped out and rebuilt through multiple cataclysmic events. And then he's got some pictures of some Dogu here. And yes, they are very strange looking. Some of those can't be guys in suits.
Yeah, my favorite one is that upside down pyramid head.
Yeah. That dude's
he's the one that shows up and is like, build a giant triangle and worship me.
That's right. Yeah. So, in doing the show with Red of the Rogo, we got connected with some of Soraya's other co-hosts. One of them, whose name is Ren, who practices Solomonic ritual magic, right? So I had a conversation with him the other day. And Ren, I'm not trying to steal your idea, but I really wanted to talk about this. And I think we've mentioned it before too, but he said that he really likes he calls it the Head Canon, right? It's his head canon, meaning canon as in a book or the way you look at something. So he's like, he has a head canon that he really likes about ancient civilizations. The Tower of Babel is referring to a space elevator. Right. And he was like, but, like, I really like that idea, but we would probably find ruins of if a space elevator like sort of toppled and some of it went off into space and the rest of it crashed to Earth, we'd probably find it. And I'm like, well, hold on. There you go.
It's just like all these Lincoln logs just stacked up.
But a lot of the NASA and other people's conceptual drawings of a space elevator has them over the ocean, because you want a floating point. And so, like, if it actually fell, so there may be ancient ruins of a space elevator at the bottom of the Pacific somewhere.
Oh, that's
and he was like, oh my God, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I've been back and forth over the Tower of Babel, like, story and different ideas, and I, can't stick with one. But if you think that, if you're going to take the story literally, that they built a tower and the tower reached to the heavens, and so you basically have a space elevator.
Yeah.
Then what about the other literal part, where these people from out there in space were like, hey, look at what they're doing.
Right.
Let's go down there and destroy that thing.
Yeah.
Now we're back to aliens.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying that.
But in that story,
really
there's no aliens helping anybody. That's the other interesting thing about that story. Like, if you want to go with the ancient aliens and they helped us build pyramids or whatever, but then you have this Tower of Babel story where the humans were building their pyramids just fine and the aliens were like, right? So it's like, that story is sort of the opposite of the idea of ancient aliens helping humans out.
Yeah.
And then there's, it's hard for me to do this because I also have in the back of my mind somewhere, whenever I'm thinking about this stuff, I have all the UFO crap that I've read, not crap, but just there's a whole bunch of other sort of subjects that aren't necessarily associated with ancient civilizations but they may apply because of like how long this may have been happening and what they're saying, so like, and then of course I don't know how much I can trust those accounts, but you get these basically in UFO lore, you have plenty of accounts of people who encounter beings who in one way or another imply or say directly that they have been involved with the human race for countless eons.
That's what I was going to ask you about next is what, like, you don't think they're necessary. Well, what do you think about all the UFO phenomena?
Yeah. I don't know. That recent Joe Rogan interview with Bob Lazar completely, that whole thing is just resurfaced again. And I don't know what to think about it. It's what my favorite part of that was where Lazar implied that those ships were possibly recovered from an archaeological dig.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn.
Homo florensis.
Yeah.
Little guys. Aren't
Yeah.
they the little ones? Florentian?
Yeah. Homo floriensis. Yeah.
Floriensis. Yeah. Little tiny dudes.
Yeah. And then there's also the
saucers.
And there's also the I can't remember what they're called, but there's a legend of these beings in China as well. Some in the deep hinterlands of China, and there's like these discs that were supposedly found, and they had the story of how they ended up here. And there's actually photographs supposedly of them, and they were very strange looking people.
Homo floresiensis.
Yeah, floresiensis. It's on the island of Flores or something like
Flores,
that.
yeah.
Floresians. I can't make it easy.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about all that. I'm just not. I guess what the problem I have with the alien thing is that I can't. There's very little I can do with that. I guess in my mind,
that's really your problem with it.
well, it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, oh, if it was aliens, then there's really, where are they? They're not here. It's more like, I don't know what.
We can't say that about ancient humans either. Like, where are they? They disappeared.
But then
This pyramid is out here in the middle of the jungle, and no one knows who put it there.
right, but we're finding them. Ancient humans.
Yeah, we do find ancient humans.
Yeah.
but we don't necessarily know which ancient humans built
Right.
that pyramid out in the jungle or whatever. or in the
Yeah,
desert.
so I'm not saying it isn't probable or it's wrong. It's just that, like, until I get to like go into Area 51 and like walk around in their sheds and look at all the stuff, I can't do anything about it, right? I can't do anything with the idea. But
Well,
I have
good
seen.
thing we're in the intelligence community. We can get right into Area 51 and go in those sheds. Dropa stones. Thank you, Watcher. That's it. That's them. And the Dropa are the people that supposedly.
the Chinese discs.
Yeah. That's another story that I can't tell if it's real, but it's fascinating. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's the same with all the UFO accounts. I can't tell. There's no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's just it's like the 411 stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, even those, at least there's some data that you can go get, but
Yeah.
it's still, most of it is anecdotal.
Yeah.
Where are the records? Where's the police report?
Yeah.
Those things are.
Yeah, and so with the UFO stuff, I'm just saying it's floating in the back of my mind whenever I'm talking about this, in the same way that the sky being stories are, and
Right.
like I know that I'm aware of all that stuff is there, but then with the UFO stuff, it's more data than that because there are ones where, like, okay, there's one that I always remember, that I always recall on this, where a person was having a 100% what looked like a gray alien encounter. They had been abducted, they were in an altered state, but it was one of those deals where the guy, he seemed to be a person who, whatever they were using on people or whatever so in the stories of these alien abductions, they seem to have some kind of tech or something that puts people into an altered state, and where once they're done and the people wake up, they have no memory whatsoever.
Right.
But there are some people who seem to briefly come in and out of that altered, like it doesn't work right on them.
Yeah. They wake up, they're on an operating table, they're being poked and prodded.
And sometimes they wake up and they're walking down a hallway in some facility with
some guy behind them like,
yeah, exactly. And it's like, beep, 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 beep. Yeah, exactly. Right. So in this account, that's one of the things that happens where he sort of wakes up and he's in the middle of an experience and they become aware that he is now aware. Right. And he says something about aliens and he hears two of them that are kind of off to the side start chuckling to each other like he thinks we're aliens. Okay. Now you read that account and every other aspect of it is implying that it's an alien encounter. They're grays, they're aliens, they're weird, they're doing all the same alien stuff that everybody else reports, except that he gets this one little thing where they're kind of chuckling at him like, this guy thinks we're...
Yeah, we're actually earthlings.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like all this is in the back of my mind when I'm thinking about this. Like even the stuff that a lot of people totally think that's aliens, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
If it's real, maybe it's not. They think that they're not, or at least there are stories where they think that's a ridiculous idea, but they don't correct it. Like, in other words, it may be like, so just like when you go back to the previous to the.
So you leave your small town after you graduate high school. You go off for years and years and years and years, and then you show back up and you look different and people don't recognize you and they're like, oh yeah, you're from out of town. Huh?
Yeah.
You're like, they think I'm an out of towner.
Yeah, it could be that.
I live here.
They've been out in space for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the implication I get is that they've been under the water.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
They can go to space.
Or under the ice.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Watchers posting some pictures here. Descendants of the Dropa.
Yeah. Sort of very strange looking people there.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Real small people.
40% of the residents are dwarfs. See, they're short. I can fly those little discs.
Yeah.
The curse of a black turtle. And what is a turtle in ancient mythology? A flying thing. It's a freaking spaceship.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know about the alien question. It's still a question in my mind. I don't know. I can't tell. Like, are we dealing with aliens, actual extraterrestrials, or are we dealing with... I mean, and then there's the whole spiritual aspect. Like, are all those weird drawings and myths and stuff like that because people were using altered states, using entheogens, various mushrooms and things like that to encounter other beings like the ayahuasca, right? Mm-hmm. Or you encounter these serpentine gods or whatever, these spiritual things, and they look very strange or whatever, and then people would paint what they saw. And like grays are encountered in ayahuasca visions all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, on the aliens thing, I absolutely think there are intelligent beings out there in the universe other than right here on Earth.
Yeah.
To me, there's not really much of a question about that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I think they're out there. Where? I don't know. How far away?
I'm not an alien denier over here.
So there's that aspect. Are we dealing with intelligent beings that came from these very far away places and they're just messing with us and whatever? I definitely don't know about.
Yeah. What you mean by that is you don't know. Not that you're saying I don't think that's what's happening.
Right. Yeah. I just don't.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw something in the sky. I don't know, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, with Laura and Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
And we all saw it. And it is unexplainable to me.
Yeah.
And we could not identify it.
Yeah.
And it was flying.
Right. And it wasn't something that was like, oh, that could be black budget tech. It was too weird for that.
I mean, I don't know. It just, the way it acted, one of them turned 90 degrees, they both changed red. It's like, it started out as like a dash of light and it was moving way faster than a plane. Too slow for a shooting star. Maybe not. I mean, some shooting stars, I guess, appear to be moving much slower.
Yeah.
But the fact that it kept going all the way across the sky, it got brighter. It looked like it was getting larger as it quote unquote approached. Yeah. Not like it was burning up or burning hotter.
Yeah.
It stayed blue. you know,
And then it turned
the dash
red.
got a little longer and longer and longer as it approached us. And then it split into two things. One of them turned 90 degrees instantly, and the other one kept going straight, and they both turned red and vanished.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what was that? Maybe it was an ejection seat. I don't know. It was just way too fast for any type of flying craft that I know of. You know,
Yeah.
and it made no noise. So
Right.
it was high
Totally
enough to
silent.
not make any noise and fly way faster than a plane or a satellite would be moving. So it's like, I've seen that.
It was the corner of a 14th dimensional object briefly coming into our as it rotated.
Yeah. So I've seen something that doesn't match anything else that I know of in terms of technology or natural phenomena in the sky with three other people who once we all saw it. My mom pointed it out first. We all four watched it for the rest of the time. And then we each described what we saw
Yeah.
to each other. And all the stories were very, very similar. There were a few discrepancies, like my dad didn't see the red color. We all saw one of them. We all saw them split into two. One of them turned 90 degrees.
Yeah.
And they disappeared. But Dad didn't see them turn red.
Well, he's dumb.
Hey, red's it's a low frequency light. You know,
Yeah.
Maybe he just didn't pick it up.
Yeah. I saw with one other person what I think was probably black budget tech, right? And it was a black triangle, and it was hauling ass, and it was completely silent. And I had just walked out of this guy's house when I saw it. I looked up there and saw it cruising through the sky, and it was booking, and it was completely quiet, and it was a triangle in the sky, black triangle, and it was getting bigger and coming overhead, and it was really, really moving. But it was making zero noise or whatever. And so I knocked on the door. I was like, hey, man, come out here. And he came out, and we both stood there and watched it. And it just went overhead. And I watched it almost from the horizon go over top of me and all the way to the other horizon. And it took a matter of maybe 10 seconds.
Wow.
And it was completely silent. But that looked like that could be secret human tech to me.
Yeah. I mean, this could have been too, but it's just nothing I would know.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't know what kind of tech we actually have.
Yeah.
And there's good reason for hiding that,
Yep.
But where was I going with this?
You don't like aliens.
No, I think, I love them. I love them, all of them. I think they're out there, but I don't. It's just a question as to whether or not they're coming here, visiting here.
Yeah.
And the Watcher's pointing, he's like,
yeah.
Watcher's issue is that what possible appeal could our primitive backwards ass rays have to a being that can travel all over the galaxy? I mean, that's...
You don't know what they're going to think is interesting or not.
Yeah.
I mean, we have scientists that go that spend their entire lives studying ant beds. So you can't really say that they wouldn't come here. And you might have alien teenagers that want to just come buzz the frickin' primitives, right? They come over here and they just but do we give them airplanes? What? What does that mean?
Cow tipping.
Yeah, cow tipping. It's their version of cow tipping. They come over here and they freak out the freaking backwards people, and then they take off and they're like, we told them we were from Venus, or whatever.
I was trying to remember what the other...
They also may... I mean, I don't know. I see a lot of this bullshit where, but I connect some of this stuff to the breakaway civilization where they seem to be landing and they're totally human and they're like, stop making nuclear weapons. And I'm like, yeah you're just a breakaway civilization. Get out of here.
Okay, I remember what the other thing was. I also think there's another world in terms of the spirit world.
Yeah.
Right. So you brought up the altered states idea, some of these weird figures and the possibility of meeting other beings that are not necessarily directly in our physical realm.
Yeah.
Or directly apparent to our physical realm. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But I think there's aliens, intelligent ones, and I think there's also a spirit world.
Yeah.
So
I also think that I agree with that. And I would add one more category because I think this is important. I think that there is life in space that we have no concept of whatsoever, like Boltzmann brain stuff.
Yeah.
like pure magnetic field beings.
Yeah.
And so those, if something like that comes through our atmosphere, it can make all kinds of weird lights and shit, and then it'll just be gone. And it doesn't even know we're here. It's just not trying to interact with us at all. It's just passing through, right?
Yeah.
So, or space bacteria, you know?
Yeah, like if the idea of telekinesis or, you know, some of these mind over matter type things that governments have studied.
We don't have the sands of time in here, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going.
Yeah,
we're fine.
Yeah.
If those types of things were possible, where say consciousness can affect the physical realm directly, right? Somehow,
Yeah.
where there doesn't appear to have been any type of physical interaction to cause some book to fly off the shelf, but it just does because the interaction manifests right
as
when
a physical force right there at the book or whatever.
Yeah. It just comes from the consciousness realm, the spirit realm, or whatever, and somehow manifests some.
I've had books fly off shelves at me.
Right, some type of energy in the physical realm, if that's possible. Which I'm on the fence. I mean, that could be. I think
You're on the fence about which part?
How it works. Okay, I don't know how it works,
Right,
but
right.
I tend to believe that it could be that it is possible for consciousness to affect the physical realm. Right. I want to know how it works. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that though.
Kyle's like, when does the spiritual get physical?
Boom. Pow. Lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It was a good one too.
We'll take a break. I'll think about it.
Rewind it. Listen to what you're saying. Figure it out.
It was all about snakes. You are listening to the Snake Bros Institute for Advanced Coprolite Studies. There are no degrees, no certificates. Oh wait, there is one.
There is a certificate.
Only certificates of ignorance, folks.
That's right.
Because
and
we are...
courses in gaslighting.
Yes, of course. Speculating.
Yeah.
Always endlessly speculating here on Snake Bros podcast. So what I was thinking was, just going along with what you were saying about who knows, what the UFO phenomena could be. A long-winded way of saying, I believe in the spirit realm, and that if any of these sort of like telekinesis ideas that consciousness can cause effects in this physical world. If you had we don't even know what our own consciousnesses might be doing, right? So this is kind of, I think, what the CSETI thing that Graham does a lot. Like, you get a group of people that focus and they're wanting to see something. Like, what if they're actually creating the lights and stuff that they're seeing? And then, we were talking with Soraya about that, and he was saying, like, so many of these strange encounters have weird light doing strange things, right?
Yeah.
But the main point is if there was some type of massive brain type thing out there, like, let's say the sun itself, our star, had some kind of intelligence. It was intelligent in some way.
Yeah.
Could it manifest things in our sky?
Yeah, its magnetic field covers the whole solar system.
Right. So it's just a cool thought, So yeah, I'm open to that. That whole idea.
Yeah, and then so like I'm the next thing I was thinking about was something we briefly discussed, an idea that I've been kind of kicking around for a while. And we briefly discussed it on the Swapcast with Grimerica guys, which is that, like, why do we see these numbers appearing everywhere? And could it be that these astronomical cycles we're inside inject these numbers into the reality inside that cycle?
Wait, say that again.
So, like, if you're
astronomical numbers we're inside, or we're in, I couldn't understand.
Yeah,
what
so
you're saying.
like if you're inside a big astronomical cycle, it has certain numbers associated with it. And so within that cycle, those numbers are injected into the reality there, and they just pop up all over the place.
I see. Yeah. So if you're in a different, because we were talking about if you're in a different system somewhere, would there be a whole different set of numbers?
Right.
Yeah.
And Darren was implying, like, could you even go there and drink their water? Like, would it alter reality fundamentally? And so we couldn't reach it. It would actually be like another dimension. And then you were like, well, maybe you just shift with the laws.
Right. Yeah.
Either way, that implies that there is even more of a clockwork. Of course, I'm envisioning it. You know, I've got this 18th century. This is a clockwork mechanism. It's this big circle with all these gears going. And so in those gears, the numbers are there, right? And so you see the numbers showing up all over the place within that mechanism.
Yeah.
But does that imply something deeper about our reality? And then, of course, like, is that itself some kind of form of consciousness? Is that, like, if consciousness is fundamental, is that manifesting from the way consciousness is interacting with the material realm right there, or the ether or whatever?
Yeah. I really like that. The idea that, like you said this before, but that, you know, consciousness is on the quantum level or whatever, however you put it.
Yeah.
But that there could be a form of consciousness in all these tiny particles or whatever, their whole cycles and systems.
Panpsychism, yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I just thought of something else that I forgot immediately. What's going on?
It's that picture of those Dropa washers up there.
Yeah, I know. Put something else up there.
Type some stuff, watcher.
Put like a picture of Tesla up there so I can think.
Got those giant eyeballs staring at us, and makes us forget everything.
I think it's quite an assumption on the part of, you know, the standard modelist physicists or whatever, that these physical laws are the same all through time
and throughout the universe.
I mean, it's one thing to say, well, we're looking. You know, we can sort of look out and we're seeing the light that's moving this way or whatever, and it's acting a certain way. So we can make predictions.
Yeah.
And those predictions can be pretty accurate. So that, you know, again, that's not a good one. He's posting pictures to distract me.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, you could even say, well, the light we're looking at is really old. It's taken so long to travel over here that galaxy may not even be there anymore.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. So there could be all kinds of problems, but I don't see it as being far-fetched that the rules change over time as the system develops.
Right. That we see an evolving universe if we're seeing what we think we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so the rules may also be evolving.
Yeah.
So we've talked about that in terms of like steady state versus Big Bang models and things like that. So, and that's another thing, like how much do the rules evolve, you know, and how much does it change small things, you know, like you have like sometimes you have very large effects from very tiny changes in fundamental rules.
Yeah.
Actually, usually.
Yeah. Well, it's like that. I've probably said this many times on the podcast, and I need to go look this number up and actually understand what it actually is. But it's the electron volts of the
helium,
carbon or helium, atom, whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
And they're like, and some guy predicted it and said, like, the idea was, I think it's this because if it was anything else, it should never have been able to become hydrogen, or it was hydrogen, I think it was. It would have never been, helium never would have been stable enough to actually form into some of the other
hydrogen
elements.
has to be this particular thing for helium, and all the further.
And so it was like however many decades later that they actually measured it, and it was exactly like down to all these decimal numbers of what the guy said it had to have been.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, that tiny little rule, if you changed that one rule, we wouldn't apparently, we wouldn't have anything.
All you would have is hydrogen gas.
That's right. Everywhere,
because every further
it would turn into helium in stars or whatever might be going on. It would be
unstable, though.
But it would just you read that. I'm not going to even.
1 electron volt is the energy that an electron gains when it travels through a potential difference of 1 volt. So electrons in a hydrogen atom must be in one of the allowed energy levels. If an electron is in the first energy level, it must have exactly negative 13.6 electron volts of energy.
Yeah, what I meant was you read it quietly and figure out if you should read. I'm just joking.
Wow.
To find the pertinent information. Yeah. Negative 13.6 electron volts.
Yeah. So he predicted it based on the orbitals and where the electrons sort themselves. That's what Brett is saying, the watcher.
Okay.
Thanks for the picture of the comet.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's nice.
And dude, that's Randall Carlson gave that.
Yeah, that's very.
He gave this.
That's very fee.
He gave this. Yeah, it is. He gave this presentation on Mithras.
Yeah,
and he is shown with this cape thing.
Yeah,
in many cases, right? The cape.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's up? What's going on with this cape? It's always shown in the same way.
It's got 3 folds and like
it looks, and it looks like a comet.
Yeah.
And he's slaying the bull.
Yeah. But he's looking back at the bird.
Yeah.
Like all the
symbolism of like, oh yeah, it came out of Taurus or the Taurids meteor stream. And that was really cool. So I actually take that opportunity to shift gears a little bit. Make sure I got this right. Yeah. One of the things that's really been that I want to discuss is the idea going back to the Templars and the cathedral building and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that was a fascinating rabbit hole that we went down, and I was just like, oh, boom, boom, blowing my mind constantly. And then we got distracted with all this other stuff. And, But then when we were in Mesa Verde, Randall's given a presentation on the stuff, or when we were in Colorado, he was giving a presentation on the people, the Pueblo people. And it's like the same timeline.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, then I at some point a couple of weeks ago listened to Grimerica's interview with the guy Alan Green.
Yeah,
and he's going over the Shakespeare stuff, and it's like there's something I'm seeing this pattern of, well, either it's the way the cathedral builders wrote the story into stone, telling it in a new way once again, trying to compact so much of our understanding and knowledge of the times, or maybe ancient understanding, into these buildings. The fact that this was happening in the United States at the same time that these people started building all these things with, maybe, obviously not as well done and awesome and detailed as the cathedral builders. But then you have Shakespeare, some really just nobody knows who he was. Yeah. There's no letters that he wrote anyone. There's no one ever claims to have met him or talked to him. It's like he never went to, the way Alan Green puts it, it's like, he never went down to the bar to have a beer after. And nobody ever said like, oh yeah, I talked to him and he was working on his new play, Macbeth. Or something. It's like there is no record of anyone ever seeing or meeting this person. Yeah. There's no manuscripts. Yeah. There's no will, and he's the most famous freaking, claimed to be the best literary writer in the world. Yeah.
And the name is weird too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but it's just, and then
Shakespeare.
Yeah. And the stuff that Alan Green was highlighting about him was some of the things that he was saying that were blasphemous or a direct slight to the king at the time. And the rules that they were making. Yeah. And it's like, how did he not get killed for that. I mean, anybody would have been drug up and hung or executed for the stuff that he was saying.
Yeah.
And it just never happened. So there's all these weird things, but then he's like encoding once again all of this ancient mythology. He's he's drawing maps essentially in his plays. He has the street names right in these little villages and towns in Italy and stuff that he never went to.
Right.
Down to like the types of buildings and every little aspect of the culture and the way they talked and all this stuff just exactly to a T. It's like he had to have been a world traveler. He had studied dialects and cultures and all of these things. He had to have been there to write these things.
Yeah.
But the guy apparently was a poor, illiterate peasant guy that
can't be illiterate.
I mean, he came from an illiterate family or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't end up that way. But the idea is that he was, born and raised like this way, right, from this family, and then somehow taught himself how to read and write and become the greatest writer in the world ever.
Yeah.
But it's just the details that he goes into. So I know I'm going off on this for a while, but that blew my mind. And it's again this idea that from time to time, there come these people or groups of people that re-inject the ancient knowledge back into society. The Viracochas,
that's what I'm
all
saying.
of this stuff. So it's like
looks like the Brotherhood to me.
Yeah. That's freaking awesome. That is what I've really been thinking about a lot.
Yeah,
and
I have been too. So that was the next topic I was going to bring up. Actually, was this injection thing, and like now we have one that looks very recent. That's recent.
Pueblo.
Yeah, the cathedral building, Shakespeare.
Yeah,
and the Pueblo stuff, and it seems to be happening all over the world, and it's happening during the medieval warm period. Right.
What was Shakespeare's supposed lifetime, Brett? Watcher.
How long did he live?
Or what year or whatever? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, you mean when was he around?
Yeah, when was he around? Yeah. Right? Because it's weird. Like you've got the cathedral building, and it probably happened after that, right?
I think Shakespeare is
or before that
is newer. Than the cathedral stuff.
Newer. I think so too.
1500s, he says. So
hold please.
Hold please. Hey,
you have the fastest supercomputer in the world, and you're making me wait.
Who do you have to talk to up there in space? Okay, William Shakespeare.
Yeah, 1564 to 1616. So yeah, he was after the cathedral building period. After the Pueblo
baptized, 26th of April.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what and dude, listen, I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Guys, I know I've told y'all this before, but I mean, if I had a dream, it would be to be able to do this, to learn this technology of taking.
Come on, man, set some hard goals.
This ancient knowledge and injecting it into modern iterations of art.
Yeah,
come on.
He just wants to be able to write like Shakespeare. Frickin' set some hard goals, bro. That's a good one. I agree. I think that I don't know about Alan Green. I still haven't. I feel like I'm slacking here. I still haven't listened to that show and haven't looked into his work. But I have delved into the Shakespeare stuff before, and I've seen people think that Roger Bacon may have been involved. Like so you have these other polymaths that are around at the same time,
and they're copying, like they're writing down the stuff that he wrote supposedly. Right?
Yeah, and they were known
scribes or something.
Yeah, well, they were known sort of geniuses of their day, involved in everything, dissenters against the monarchy,
right?
Got in trouble about a lot of things, and then so Roger Bacon could be one. Comte de Saint Germain is another one, and he's like already got weird immortal legends going on with him, where he keeps showing back up 40 years later, looking like the same guy.
Yeah,
and he can like play violin like a virtuoso. He wrote sonnets, he wrote plays. He could paint like a master. He like knew all the sciences. He was like versed in everything. And then he would tell stories about ancient past. And when he started telling you the story, he was like, yeah, so in Egypt, they did this and that or whatever. And then slowly as he kept telling the story, it would morph into first person. Right. And so people were like, is he playing a game here? Or was he really there?
Yeah.
Because he's telling you about ancient times or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, they actually did this, and then I was seeing this, and then I had to go over to this other place.
That's great. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you definitely need to listen to that. The first one is Grimerica's episode 209.
Okay.
That's when they first interviewed him. Listen to that one first.
Do we need to get him on?
Heck yes.
Okay.
And then they did another one with him recently where it was he was like showing video because they were doing a live like video feed. So I listened to it, but I need to go watch the video. I just couldn't really clean. But the first one they didn't have video because Darren couldn't get his shit working right. so he just told the story, and it was better for me on the job. Listening to it.
Well, we can ask him we can ask him to do that then.
Yeah, because it was fascinating.
Yeah.
But he talked about these guys like Comte Saint Germain, and he doesn't think that guy, like his research is like, no, it's not him.
No, yeah.
But
no, I don't think Saint Germain was Shakespeare, but it's like it's those
remember
kinds of
names.
people. Roger Bacon's definitely one.
Yeah, or it's somebody like that was actually writing some of this stuff down, like the sonnets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's cool because like you'll go in the sonnets and the pages are numbered.
Yeah.
And you get to a certain page and then the numbers are backwards.
Yeah.
And then he's in the poetry
says,
on the page.
mistake was corrected.
Yeah, it's talking about how there was an error and all this weird stuff. And then he starts talking about stuff that sounds like the pyramid in Egypt, in the sand, up the high tower.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool stuff. So I downloaded the sonnets and listened to all of them. And yeah, it's so good. Obviously, it's Shakespeare. I'm just like, man, these are great. Wow. This guy's a great writer. But
so that's to me, and I don't know what this means, but to me, I'm like, that's the brotherhood. We're seeing the same ancient abilities and technology surface, and it's a sort of there's mystery surrounding it. There seems to be too much understanding. Not possible for one person in that time period to have traveled that widely.
Like so many people.
Right. So like you have what appears to be a group of people, first of all, and then you start
a guild.
A guild, a monastic order, and they have been around for who knows.
Yeah. And so they go through different, so it'd be interesting to look at the timeline and say, okay, well, if this was, 1564, 1616, then you go to the cathedral building, was it 900, 600, 900, or 1100, somewhere in there.
The beginning of the Gothic cathedral building started in like 1105 or something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere between 900 and 1100 something.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like every 500 years, right? So if you keep going back, like maybe find another iteration of it, 500 years before that, 1,000 years before that, or something.
And I think they've gotten careful because he's spilling drink.
Just slamming this water.
It looks to me like they may have tried to get careful because if you look to, I don't know, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you look back in time, it looks like their major injections when they were really going all out, like say, for example, with, something like Egypt where it lasts 4,000 years. Think about that.
Yeah.
They made a huge injection of knowledge and civilization tech into whoever was there in that place.
And I guess it would change based on, what the technology level was. Because nowadays, like, you could do something on the internet.
Yeah.
And it would just spread.
Right.
You don't have to go, like, travel to every country and build massive stoneworks.
Yeah. So remember that cicada mystery?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I've wondered if that's a Brotherhood recruiting tool.
I was thinking the same thing. What about Kanye Quest? Guys, woke.
Kanye Quest could be a recruiting tool. That is some weird shit. that game.
But it's like those people, Kanye,
Yeah.
like these pop artists, they have this innate ability, or maybe it's the, some, not all, but some of them have writers.
Yeah.
But some of these writers, they have this ability to create that catchy thing that people want to repeat, and then they want to show it to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So they have this
Yeah.
ability already. So, it seems like those people would be, candidate number one for any group that was like, hey, we want to re-inject this knowledge. So we get somebody like that has the ability to make this catchiness and try to, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their methods are. That's the next question. Like, so you look at Shakespeare and you're still like, what was the method? Like, obviously you end up with plays and stuff.
Right.
But-
and people are still repeating those stories.
Right.
That's the
But
point.
what was the method to get those? Where did they come from? Like, so you got a bunch of guys like underground somewhere, and they're putting these together, and they've been working on them for decades. Now they've got it all together, right? They've had to get information about towns that are around the world somehow. Maybe they have maps in there, and they know this because their monastic order is global. But they put these things together, and then what do? Who do they give them to? How do they enact these things into the civilization? And be like, you go up to a guy who's running a stage or whatever, and how do you get him to enact the play? You walk up to him and he doesn't know who the fuck you are, so you have to give it to somebody who knows you, who will take it, and who knows that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does the injection work? Like, I can see here are the results, and I can imagine them making it, but I don't know the middle part. Step one, write a play. Step two, step three, take over the world.
Yeah. So,
and I imagine that they do it differently every time. So again,
well, what was the story with the guys that started digging under the Dome of the Rock? Why can't I think Templars?
like the most famous.
Sorry. Couldn't think of the word.
No,
remember?
You can't not know that word.
Yeah, I know that word. Just something's wrong with my mind right now.
I was thinking, who else dug beneath the Dome of the Rock?
Something's going wrong with my brain.
It's because we're not in the cube.
That's right. Yeah, the thoughts aren't bouncing around properly. So yeah, there was like the one, I can't remember the exact details, but there was like that one guy, he's a French guy or whatever, and you got these like two other dudes.
Yeah. So Hugues de Péan from Champagne.
Yes.
Yeah. And he gets the 8 other guys, and first he goes, and then he comes back, and then he goes again, and then he comes back, and then he gets 8 other dudes, and then they go there, and then they manage to secure the building, and then they just start digging. So yeah, like are you asking, could they have been? So
it's like the first guy that you start seeing, he's making these trips, right? So
yeah,
obviously there was a plan.
Yeah, there was a plan.
This was step one.
Yeah, right.
And then he recruits people. This is my point. So why would he? They're obvious. If you
quote unquote recruit.
Yeah, but if
they obviously had all known each other for a long time.
If you know the plan, you know who to recruit. You know what talent to look for.
That's true.
My point. So it's not like we have to know that specifically.
Okay.
But if the plan is, my point was that if the plan is that it's time to re-inject certain things.
You have to look at what's happening right now and figure out the best way.
And my point is that it seems to me that the number one candidate for this type of thing, unless you already have the talent to create whatever the modern art of the day is that's really catchy or something like that, you would have to go recruit somebody who has that ability, and you would have to know that they have that ability, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm going to script derp myself, because usually when this happens, it's something that nobody expected at all.
Yeah.
So like Shakespeare was just
right,
like totally different.
Like they have the ability, and it may be an ancient tech, of seeing a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
That they can recognize when the person is a very young child that this one will be whatever it is we need.
This is the chosen one.
That's right. Why is there always a chosen one in the stories? Who's choosing?
Who chose that
Who's doing
one?
the choosing? Yeah. The gods, right? But that's what I'm saying. The gods are what? They're symbols for large forces, you know. So, but again, we're still working on the idea of like all these are stories. So we're using words that are in stories. No one knows what a god is.
Right.
The word itself is strange, you know. And like you know, when I got fascinated with Japanese culture, I looked at all their gods and demons, and they have millions of them. And they
Millions?
just
That's crazy.
millions as in countless. I don't know how many there are,
Okay.
but there are innumerable. Yeah. Kami and Oni are what they are.
Angels and demons.
Yeah. Gods and demons or whatever.
Yeah.
But their gods are all specific stuff. You know, they all are almost like the embodiment of one thing. Mm-hmm. You know, so you have the river dragon. And
Right.
That's his river, and that's his thing.
Yeah.
And that's all he does is that river.
Yeah.
But he can be badass and he can help you or whatever, but he's that river and that's where he stays, you know? So you have ones that are more large, like the god of the winds can be anywhere, but he's just the wind, right? He's going to do wind stuff and that's it.
Yeah.
So it looks like those are more like we're dividing the forces here and personifying them and it's almost, and this is where you get the idea that like they're looking at world from an animistic perspective, that everything is alive, even if it's just wind. And like, you know, this may be going off a little bit, but I have noticed this, you know, I have noticed how the wind seems to have a sense of humor sometimes. Have you ever noticed that? Like the wind really like will fuck with you sometimes.
Well, you live in a tower, so you probably know that a little better than me.
Well, I'm just like, I notice it anywhere. It's like, you know, it's totally not windy. I'm like going to light a cigarette.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what the so I'm like, I put it down and it stops. Okay.
Yeah. I know that.
Or you've dropped something, it's on the ground, and you're like, oh, I go to pick it up.
Yeah. It really does that with those receipts.
Yeah. It's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know, there's almost an agency to it.
So now there must be a new, well, the god of electricity or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The god of internet connections, you know.
Yeah.
Right when you're trying to listen to the most important part, they're like, oh, no. And anyways, that was what he's told me.
Yeah. There's a god of lag or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
The watcher's complaining about lag right now.
Yeah, he is complaining about lag right now. Oh, I love the Te Templars.
Yeah. The Templars were digging under the Temple of Solomon, by the way, to clarify for those who weren't at CAC. BT-dub again.
What does that have to do with people who aren't at CAC? I don't understand.
I don't know. In other words, that's where the Temple of Solomon was. The Dome of the Rock or whatever.
Yeah, but why did he say for those who weren't at CAC?
I don't know. Oh, I didn't name where they were digging. That's all he's saying.
Oh. Yeah. I don't understand. Anyway.
No, we told that story on the podcast.
Yeah, multiple times. What?
I just had a brownout.
Yeah, okay. See, the gods of electricity.
Yeah. Sorry.
We start talking about them and they start fucking with us.
I do think it's cool. And I've always thought, you know, I don't know a whole lot about Native American, you know, beliefs, but I've gotten the idea that they have that sort of, you know, there's the spirit of the wolf, there's the spirit of the buffalo.
It's very animistic.
All the things. And I've always liked that. It's cool.
I absolutely love that worldview.
Yeah.
And I think that it's more interesting, for one thing. So I like it in the same way that Sean Carroll says he likes the multi-worlds thing, right? It's like, I like this idea, but I have no way of proving if it's true. Yeah. But I like to walk around in that head canon, right? Thanks, Rin. It's a great term. All right, yeah, let's take a break. We'll come back for the final segment and talk about snakes. know, time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou dost foist upon us that is old, and rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. Thy registers and thee I both defy, not wondering at the present nor the past, for thy records and what we see doth lie, made more or less by thy continual haste. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true despite thy scythe and thee.
And go straight to pyramids. Fuck thee.
Yeah, that's GFT. Go fuck thyself. That's Shakespeare's Sonnet 123.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Pyramids.
You want to read the other one? We found it. Kyle's got another one here.
Yeah, this is one of
This
the
one's
ones.
called Sonnet Fucking Jesus Christ.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
This is Sonnet 17. Who will believe my verse in time to come, if it were filled with your most high deserts? Though yet heaven knows it is but a tomb, which hides your life and shows not half your parts. If I could write the beauty of your eyes, and in fresh numbers number all your graces, the age to come would say, this poet lies. Such heavenly touches ne'er touched earthly faces. So should my papers, yellowed with their age, be scorned like old men of less truth than tongue, and your true rights be termed a poet's rage and stretched meter of an antique song. But were some child of yours alive at that time, you should live twice, in it and in my rhyme. That's just cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys got to go look those up. They're, it may be a little hard to hear it when we're just reading it, but when you see the words, you can see that there's secrets in those words.
Yeah, this one, 17, was the one that Alan Green was like breaking down and analyzing,
Yeah. And you're right. There's a lot of architectural stuff in there.
Yeah.
A stretched meter, true rights.
Yeah. Graces.
Yeah. And I like the though yet heaven knows it is but as a tomb.
Yeah.
We're like, yes, temple or tomb.
Right. Yes, of course. It's a tomb.
Of course it's a tomb. Promise. Swear to God. And shows not half your parts, which is totally true.
I think that's great. Yeah, it's like it hides your life,
Yeah. Shows not half your parts. We haven't seen the half of what's inside of it.
Right. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So where are we going? What did we end on? I can't remember where we were at. Comet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just fascinated by that. That's the thing that's really... I don't know where to go with this. Like, I think...
So let's go back to the injection.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I should study... I guess I want to learn more, whether or not... I've said this so many times. I want to learn how to do that, man. But
The face you make when you say that.
whether or not that ever happens, I still want to know more. I want to learn how it was done.
Yeah.
I just that for some reason that idea fascinates me so much. And I mean, I guess it's pretty simple. There's some group of people or something. Preserving these ancient ideas, possibly ancient tech, ancient knowledge.
Yeah.
And they injected into societies at certain times, and they must know something about those societies so that they can put it in a format that those societies will utilize.
Yeah.
That will be meaningful to them. So and I know I've said this many times. I'm going to say it again. That the whole idea of the parable, like that, in the story of Jesus, he's telling the people all these parables, and the parables are simple. These people are farmers. They go out in the fields and they reap the wheat, or they cut the
Yeah,
wheat.
so he tells stories like
he
that.
tells stories full of like these mundane things that these people are doing in their daily lives.
Yeah, or just general things you can understand. Like you have the family, and it's a wealthy father, and one son takes off, and the other son stays true, and like the prodigal son. It's those are all sort of themes that everybody can grasp, even if you're not a wealthy guy or whatever.
Yeah,
you understand the concept.
Yeah, but the point is that you learn something, something about the people that you're talking to or that you're dealing with, and you somehow put that knowledge into these ideas or stories or whatever that sort of match up with their culture, match up with their way of life.
Yeah. I'm wondering though, like, because I see this parable-esque kind of thing happening with, say, fairy tales, and I'm not talking about fairy folklore, but actual fairy tales, like Brothers Grimm kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but those are much closer to fairy folklore than they are to what we would consider to be more ancient.
Okay.
And so and then you look, so there's this, like you've got three kinds. You've got these ancient parables, these ancient stories that seem to be trying to like, here's some wisdom, and maybe a lot of it's hidden behind a story that's sort of very general so that everybody can understand it, right? Then you have these fairy tales, and those seem to be kind of in between the folklore stuff that happens with fairies and this other thing. They have a little bit of both. Weird stuff where you're like, why is that even happening?
Yeah.
And then in the fairy folklore, it's just like very strange things. And they don't seem to be teaching you stuff, or the stuff that they're teaching you is more like, if you ever happen to encounter these beings, remember all these rules, right? That are very weird. Like,
don't eat the grapes, child.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't rub your eye with that ointment, like all these rules that don't make any sense. But then in the fairy tales, there's sort of both of those things are happening. And then, so I'm wondering, like, I wonder what that dynamic is. What are fairy tales? Because they do seem to be, like, they were recovered. The Brothers Grimm recovered those from ancient texts and restored them, okay?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. They found them in these old libraries and sort of restored them and modernized them, put them into modern languages. And how many stories are there? Like, you have these characters that have no names. Sometimes there's a name, like you got Hansel and Gretel, right? But then you just have the woodcutter, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't named, and then there's the witch and the wolf and the, and like Little Red Riding Hood is also not named. She's just described, right? She's a little girl who's wearing a red hood.
Yeah.
That's the kind that you use when you're riding a horse. Right? So the characters are so archetypical in the sense that some of them don't even have names. You have the woodcutter, and he's just the guy with the axe that saves the little girl from the wolf or whatever. It's just like that. And in those stories, there are all these strange elements that look to me like little red flags pop up. Like here is hidden knowledge. I just don't know how to read it. Yeah. I've learned enough to where I can recognize that, there's a keyhole here. I just don't know how to open the door.
Okay, that reminds me. I was working on a song, and I like to do this too. Like, I'll find like some weird old saying. Yeah. And I'll research the saying and figure out where it came from, and because I want to use the saying for my own purpose, but I'll research the history of the saying, and then I'll like
nefarious purposes.
Yes, that's right. And then I'll like grab some little pieces of information from the history of it, and one of them was that game that we used to play when we were kids. Red Rover. Yeah. Red Rover, send
whoever
the Skirpterp over. So that game, and it's like all the kids link hands, and then you send one person, they run across to the other group of kids that are linked hands and try to break the link.
Right.
And then if they do, they get to grab like their biggest person and bring them back over to their or whoever on the link that they broke, they can take one of those people and bring them back to their side.
Yeah.
Right. And you play this game, it's never ending.
Right.
Great game when you're a kid. But there was all this weird stuff about how that game was thought to have originated in England or somewhere in Great Britain, right?
Is this water?
Yeah, that's for you.
Okay.
I brought that for you. It's poisoned.
This is giant cup of water over here that I've been looking at for the whole show. Like,
Yes,
is
I
that
brought it for
mine?
you.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's been here for freaking weeks or if I can drink some of that.
Yes. So there was this river, and they had all these, chains on or locks or whatever on the river where they could stop the boats coming in and then tax them and then let them go and
Yeah.
And then there was a ship that was the Red Rover, and they were like sort of a pirate ship or something, and they went and they broke through all the lines. Right, and robbed them all, and like they were
Wow.
Okay, so this is this one idea, but then they're like, no, actually, and children were playing this game.
Yeah.
Right, so this became a game that all these children played. Nobody knows who taught the children how to play this game.
Yeah.
But and then the Chinese are like, no, we
made
invented that game. And all their kids were playing the game too, and nobody knows who taught them that game. But it's
man,
the same thing, and it was they called it like break the gate or something like that in Chinese.
Wow.
And so they
that's
send
weird.
the kid running. I mean, the kids are playing the same freaking game, guys.
Yeah, that's weird.
At the same time in
Yeah.
these vastly different places. Like, who's teaching these games? I don't know. It's just really weird. And
That
they
is
both
weird.
have stories that make it legit.
Yeah.
But it's like the kids are the ones doing it. And it's,
Yeah.
I don't remember an adult teaching us the game either.
No, I don't remember. Yeah.
It's just like one of the kids knows it.
Right.
I know a game we can play.
I know a game we can
Oh, yes. That game was brought by that one weird kid who came that one week.
That's right. He was just there that one day.
That's weird stuff. Okay, what do you got, Watcher?
What? What's he saying?
He says Shakespeare's sonnets were all dedicated to W.H. ...
Whose identity remains a mystery? The Earl of Pembroke is frequently suggested because Shakespeare's first folio in 1623 was dedicated to him.
My guess with these eyes is whomever heeds.
Is what
Oh.
WH means.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Dedicated to whoever heeds.
Whomever heeds.
Huh.
I don't know.
That's cool, man. Who invented Red Rover?
Yeah, so are we suggesting that these are also injections of things into society? Like,
Yeah,
do these little
that's what I'm
games we
saying.
play like shape the children?
Well, think about cards. The tarot
Yeah.
was definitely an injection.
Yeah.
Right? And then that turned into all these games. Card
Yeah.
games, I mean, they're still happening.
Yeah. But I mean,
Since
like
ancient Egypt.
children's games, like the Ring Around the Rosie. Who taught the kids that?
Yeah, I don't know. One of the guys with the scythe, quote unquote,
Yeah,
in the black
yeah,
robe,
one of
he's
the-
like, "Child, let me show you something. Do this dance with me.
Yeah.
Now go on, run along with your friends.
Yeah. Teach them the dance.
Stay upwind."
Yeah. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
creepy.
Like, are these things? And then there's like, the Pied Piper, right? So you have a story of a theft of children. Now that one's a fairy tale, but at the same time, it's rooted in reality. There's an actual town of Hamlin, and it still has this in its history. There's still a street there where no one's allowed to play any music because of this ancient tradition that all their children disappeared on the same day and were taken to a cave in the mountains and vanished forever. And so, like, people have actually, so it's serious enough where people have looked into it and thinking, okay, they were conscripted into something or other where it was a known thing at the time, supposedly, that they were taking children into military service as slaves, basically. Right? In other words, what I'm saying is it's legit enough for actual historians to try to figure out what actually happened to the kids.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now they've come up with these weird things like, oh, well, they were just conscripted when that doesn't fit the story at all.
Yeah.
And, oh, there was some kind of famine, and so a whole bunch of people, half the town moved somewhere, and that doesn't fit the story at all either. But the point is that actual historians are trying to come
Right.
up with an answer.
Because whatever, they vanished, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a so one guy comes out of nowhere and has special powers and ends up taking the children.
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking of is, I mean, we're talking about the spirit world involved in all this. Like there could also be similar injections happening.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a different way. It's like we might. I'm not saying that it's not art or, I mean, it could be any of these things, but like, these weird ideas about magic or superstitions or stuff like that. Or, those are bad examples, but that in other words, this is a thing that happens sort of like as above, so below. So the Masons, for example, who are building buildings to mimic or mirror the heavens, or follow this principle of as above, so below, may also be following a principle of as the other world, so this world, right? Because you go into the cathedral and you're just like, you have a spiritual experience in there. Yeah. Right. So they're doing both. And it's like mimicking the idea that there is like the universe itself has there's this consciousness aspect being injected into the physical world. Yeah. Like we're walking proof of that. You know what I'm saying? So there may be other ways that it's happening as well. Yeah. The fairy folk or the fae folk may be one. Right. The UFO phenomena may be another. The abduction phenomena. Yeah. Some other way, or psychedelics. Yep.
And the 411 stuff, some of that 411 stuff could just be the same people vanishing with no explanation.
Yeah. Yeah. And children are very spiritually aware. Yeah. So they, it's not, come on, watch it. He wants to come on and talk about the Red Rover thing.
So, I was thinking on the origins of Red Rover. You think of Ring Around the Rosies, right? Pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. That was a rhyme given to children about the Black Death, the Black Plague.
Given to them by who?
The posies in your pockets. Well, good question. But the posies were in your pockets to hide the smell of death. Yeah. And you burned the bodies. You had these giant piles of ash. Yeah. In Red Rover, if you don't break through the other team, you just hit them really hard and they buckle word. You capture that person and they then join your team. Yeah. Which sounds a lot like impacts or perhaps the capture of the moon.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You've got this thing running at full speed, hits you, and everybody goes, ow! And the whole shape of the languages becomes a part of it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like, dodgeball is also impact related.
It totally doesn't work that way because in dodgeball, when you get hit, you're out.
Yeah,
lots of times.
That happens
still
too.
Totally in.
That totally happens.
That happens in impact.
You have to dodge or you're out. You representing the life on the planet, not the whole planet.
Okay, but it's not totally ridiculous because I mean, if that type of stuff is another type of injection, which I mean, it's just strange. Children's game, but again, a lot of these things are not black and white. They're not, a lot of the symbolism is never just one thing. It's always, it's many things. It represents many different things. So you can look at it one way and it makes sense. You look at it another way, it makes sense. So,
So that's what always makes people say, well, that's just, that means it doesn't mean anything. Right? Like in this paradoxical way, people say because we can look at it in all these different ways and get all this meaning out of it, it just means we're just extracting meaning from something that doesn't have any meaning at all. It's just where we put patterns together.
Yeah,
with
but
our minds.
that's I don't
you don't subscribe
agree
to
with that because I mean, like, look
thing.
Straight up.
Yeah, I know, I agree. I'm just pointing out that because we see it's almost like they're designed that way on purpose. There's a certain kind of person who is going to refuse to see meaning in things.
Yeah.
And so when you give something multiple meanings from all these different dimensions, it allows that person to remain in their closet or in their, in the cave looking at the shadows rather than seeing the real world.
But it's like, okay,
the closet's not where they are.
When, like in poetry or lyrics or something, you could take a mountain and you can compare it to so many things. You can make metaphors out of it that mean all these different things, right? Because there are similarities in, from the way the mountain formed or how old the mountain is or whatever.
How strong it is or how wide it is, how tall.
Yeah, there's all these things. So
mountains are mighty and...
so they do compare, right? But symbols are purposeful. And so when you start to combine symbols, like Randall says, he looks at some relief that has like the Mithras with the constellation and the snake and the scorpion and the piece of wheat and all this stuff, and he's like, this is basically like a book.
Yeah.
I can look at this and I can see all of this stuff that correlates to things. And I mean,
and it's really annoying sometimes because he'll just point the things out and then he doesn't tell you what they mean. He's like, see the wheat here? And notice how the bull's horns are shaped. And I'm like, wait, go back to the wheat. I see it. What does it mean?
Well, yeah.
He won't tell us everything.
Well, he's not going to tell you everything.
I'm going to freaking have
not
to kick
initiated
his ass.
yet.
I'm going to kick his ass.
You're mad.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to, I think it really is, it's injection. And I agree, like we should be asking the question of where is the source? Is it always the Brotherhood or could it be coming purely from the spiritual realm? I mean, surely there's injections happening from people just having a psychedelic experience.
No, and don't call me Shirley. But yeah, I agree. I was only pointing out that in the sort of fashion of the way the Masons built things, to the as above so below principle would be if they're doing this, if this injection of knowledge is happening, it's both physical knowledge, the physical realm, and the spirit realm. Some certain things are designed to both transmit the knowledge of geometry and things about the universe, but also things about the spirit. Like you go in there and you have an enlightenment experience inside that building.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if...
Do you think it's as below, so above? Do you think those mirror images work that way?
I don't know. Maybe so.
Like, can we build things here to affect above?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah.
Is that part of what magic may be?
Maybe.
Like, because we have as above, so below, we understand that teaches you the patterns of strength, and then can you then turn it around and make as below, so above? Well,
it's like we were talking, I don't know who I was talking with. Maybe it was on the podcast. I don't remember, but it's like if you can get one monk to sit in a room and affect a laser, then perhaps you can get the entire world to sit down in rooms and affect an asteroid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree
Why
with
not?
That. Right. Or the sun.
I mean, think about it. The stuff you talked about, like when these major world events happen, the random number generator.
Yeah, random number generator stop being
because there's
random.
A focus.
Yeah.
So it's like if we found out there's like this massive comet or asteroid or something just coming straight for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we don't have the technology to stop this. Like, hey, let's all sit down and think about it going over there.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do some comet busting, man.
Yeah.
If we can cloud bust with a couple of dudes.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's comet bust.
Art Bell tried that on his show with rain, and it's terrified him. because he had millions of listeners, and it was live, right? And so it was during a period, and I know this because I listen to all those Art Bell shows, right? So there was during a period when there was a horrible drought in the Southwest United States. It had been going on for a long time. It was terrible. And so he comes on the show one night and he's like, so, there's this drought and it's really awful. And he lived in the Southwest. He lived in the high desert. And he said, so I was thinking, like, let's check and see if this whole intention things works or whatever. So like there was one part in the show where he was like, all right, everyone who's listening right now, and you don't have to meditate or anything like that. Just everyone who's listening right now, just think we need rain in the Southwest. And then like huge, enormous storms pounded the Southwest for like the next 2 days. Wow. And so, you'd be like, well, that's freaking coincidence or whatever. But like that freaked him out. He was like that, so.
That's freaking cool. Yeah, we can definitely comet bust.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
just don't sun bust.
Yeah.
Do not
do that. Yeah. But we could throw the comet at the sun. That would be fun.
No, because then we'd have to like CME bust after that.
Yeah,
not a good idea.
Yeah, we might make a big splash. That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I've talked about everything I want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, same here. You guys figure it all out and send us some emails. Let us know.
Yeah. I don't have my paper thing of lists, so
you can get a hold of us at brothersoftheserpent at gmail.com. You can visit the website at brothersoftheserpent.com. Visit the encyclopedia and the glossary. Go buy some snake skins.
Yep. And comment on the website.
Snake skins support your lack of sunburn and support our show.
Yeah, so we have 3 ways to support the show right now. Snakeskins, go onto our TeePublic store and buy cool Snake Bros swag. Or you can go to patreon.com/Brothers of the Serpent and sign up there. Or you can click the PayPal donate button, the Snake Bros pyramid scheme on the website there.
Yep, and you can share the shows and comment, give us ratings on the shows.
Oh yeah, and that's been happening a lot more.
All of that helps support the show. Yeah,
we love the rating comments. If you comment on your rating, I will read it on the show. I love them all. I've read every single one that somebody has written something. I've read it, even when they're just real short. Like, love those Serp Tarts. This is one of my favorite ones.
Serp Tarts. That's great.
Also, History Shift at History Shift on Twitter. He makes all of our YouTube videos. He's back to work at it. He's posted like 2 in the past couple of days.
Oh, so you sent him pictures finally?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
He's
just
dirty guy.
He's making them.
Jeez, Johnson.
Yeah. So
we've been busy.
Yeah. So he's making the videos and putting them up there. Thank you so much for, like I said, follow him on Twitter at History Shift. You can find his blog posts where he talks about going to look for glacial erratics and dolmens up in Montana in the hinterlands. Historyshift.blogspot.com, and you can also find his YouTube channel. Just look up History Shift on YouTube.
And H. Hablack.
That's right. Henry
Hablack.
Yep. Hermetica. I can't remember. I don't have the paper in here.
Oh, you need the paper?
Well, it's all right. But he's got a website. It's something. I've said, look in the last show. I said it there. I don't think you know what it is. We don't have the paper in here. but he's at H. Hablack on Instagram.
Yeah, and surely he has links there. So just go there.
Yep. And what else? Where did the road go? Thank you guys so much. We appreciate that. Go check out their show. Check out our show, our talk with him on there. And, of course, our interview of Soraya on our podcast, which was like episode 101 or 102.
Yeah.
And thanks to the Grimerica guys. That was a lot of fun doing the Swapcast last week.
Yep. And 13 questions.
Yes.
And Adam Loyal.
Yeah.
And all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always have.
That's right.
Always will.
Good night, Adamu. Get back to work.